Rolling. There's whatever we don't use in the beginning. How's it, guys? So this is episode 1 of, I don't even know what the name is yet. So we'll see how it goes. I've got a good friend of mine, Adrian Gerber, aka Adrian Gemini. But before we even do that, you're gonna have to tell me tell me about that name first, bro.
What, Adrian Gemini?
Yeah.
How's it, Burns? How you, bro? Happy New Year.
You too, brother.
Good to see you again.
Good to finally sit down with you, man.
Yeah, we've actually been planning this for quite some time, maybe about a year and a half.
Totally.
And just haven't managed to get around to it. But it's a new year and it started off nice and quiet, so I think we can get down into a bit of a good chit chat about wellness and that. But yeah, going back on the Adrian Gemini story. How long has it been? 25 years ago. When I moved to Cape Town, I started working for a company called Cannsseur. Okay. And Cannsseur had, for about 5 years before that, or maybe even a bit longer, pioneered sort of DJ equipment in South Africa. You know, they were one of the first guys to import like a bigger brand. The bigger brands of DJ equipment, and before even Pioneer launched their first CDJs and that,
way long ago.
So there was companies like Newmark and Vestax and obviously Techniques and whatever, and I worked for the company that did Gemini DJ gear.
Nice.
So Adrian Gerber, Adrian Gemini sounded like a cool pseudo name for your stage name. So Jason, my mate Jason 47, Jason Greenquist. He said, why don't you call yourself Adrian Gemini? And I was like, okay, cool, that sounds pretty good. And that's how it sort of kicked off,
Best story, man. So yeah, I mean, to fill in the gaps for those who don't know, I mean, we kind of became really close over the Pioneer DJ Academy a couple of years back. You and I and Keaton pretty much started that up.
That's how long is that? 10 years ago?
10 years ago. Yeah. 10 years ago. And I mean, obviously we became mates on that. Music always brings people together. But since then, you have had quite an adventure. I know you do the events thing. You've been doing that for a while. I remember when you left the DJ Academy, it was because you were launching your own events company.
That's correct.
So I don't know if you want to chat about that before we jump into the wellness stuff.
It's I've been a music orientated career from day one. Working for an audio distribution company, selling high end sound and lighting, and obviously the DJ life attracted my eye very early in life. So jumped right into it. And started DJing at clubs and whatever for very, very, very long time. Eventually running on to doing our own events and that kind of thing. The clubbing scene back then was quite
different story.
Quite something else.
It was amazing though.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. There wasn't any sort of prerequisite for getting into a dance club. If you were cool, you didn't have to be cool. You could just go and enjoy yourself. And the amount of friends that you made back then, were mostly friends for life.
100%.
It was a lot different times. I think there were less judgmental people in that sense back in the day, and we made such cool friends just by being in that environment and really enjoying the same things that everybody else does, which is music in a hard dance sense.
I mean, that's one of the things I always talk about at the DJ school. It's DJs back in the day weren't the cool guys.
Yeah.
You were a little bit nerdy. You were kind of really into music and like really into, hey man, you should listen to this track. And somewhere along the line it morphed. Not a bad thing. I think it's great that DJs can now be superstars. Yeah. But I mean, if doing events in South Africa is quite challenging. So I mean, someone like you come with quite a bit of experience.
Yeah, look, we from doing nightclub events. Again, my friend Jason, he was one of the first DJs to actually bring over a couple of internationals from like Tidy Tracks, which was one of the biggest hard dance labels, well, if not the biggest hard dance label in the world.
Definitely.
Be DJing with what was like nerdy DJs that are like back then were super internationally recognized superstar DJs. Ben Keane from BK from Nucleus, Ed Real, Andy Farley from Mohawk Records, and obviously Nucleus. All these guys that came out here, now you're mixing with like the biggest crew from the UK that are running 100%. The hard dance scene worldwide, so it was really something else to see how you could grow into this sort of stature. Not a lot of DJs out of the crew made it on that level, but Jason was one of them. He got invited to play at Tidy Tracks a number of times, flown to London for a number of gigs, playing on that sort of international level. obviously a number of other guys from Cape Town obviously managing and South Africa managing to get onto that level, but not sort of dominant where you go, worldwide. The only guy that I really know who's dominant right now, who's come through the scene, is Floyd Levine.
Oh yes,
really coming from a Cape Town clubber to a DJ to a producer to now being like, headlining with the biggest of biggest DJs in the world. Black Coffee, obviously. Yeah. Playing alongside Black Coffee, Floyd Levine, Black Coffee. South Africans.
I'd love to see sort of more of that. I find it quite interesting, browsing Beatport and finally seeing, Amapiano up there as a genre, click directly.
Isn't that incredible?
So, that's pretty much as we had Afro House and Church House and all of that scene, which is pretty big as well. Yeah. This is next level. So hopefully it unlocks something in the events industry.
I think it's unlocked something incredible in our African community. It's given lesser privileged Africans that are in the townships and that they are going to go find equipment with their mates. They'll go 100%. Buy equipment with their mates, and they're making music. They're getting onto radio. They're getting gigs, and it's become now a worldwide phenomenon called Amapiano, and I think it's vibrant music. Rad. It's really cool, and
it's unique.
It is unique, and the cool thing is that being I've obviously come from a clubbing background, and in 10 years ago, Next Dimension Entertainment's my company. This is our 10 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's a big year for us. It's 10 years in the industry, and it's it's been an absolute ride, but. The one thing I've learned from switching over from playing club music to what I am now, for a wedding, or if you're going to be a DJ and you're not specifically playing in clubs, you have to adapt to any sort of music. You have to play for any sort of crowd, and I've become very fond of playing different styles of music, like across the board, and I would never stick to one kind of style the whole gig. You'll chop and change so that you keep people happy. If anything from Guam to Afro House to Amapiano, to obviously the wedding classics, to the 90s, to the 80s, to so I can play anything. That especially when a group of people or a certain select people give me a bit of a genre, like a couple of songs, just so that I can get a feel for
rough track list.
Yeah, just so I can get a feel for it and then take it from there. And the response that I've got from crowds, doing clicks in function.
Yes.
To 1,000 people, and you got the whole crowd singing and dancing because they're hearing their Amapiano song or their song that they absolutely love. That's an African style, There's my favorite song at the moment, Sister Bettina.
Of course, that's like
what a tune.
That is the unofficial national anthem.
Oh shit!
So, dude, so tell me a little bit about your company. Like, how big are you? Kind of
I've
2 minutes about what you are able to do, kind of thing.
Yeah, I've always been a kind of solo act. I've got guys that have worked with me before that we've kind of trained. They kind of come in light-footed, and then I give them a bit of training. Just get them to understand that when you're doing something with a client, a specific client, not sort of like clubbing events and stuff like that. You have to have serious attention to detail. Your eye might not be as good as the client's eye. The client's eye will always look for a fault in how you 100%. Set things up. So the main thing we teach is attention to detail in making sure the event looks and feels 100% proper. And your cabling must be neat. You've got to do things in a certain way so that you set your tone above everybody else. You know what I mean? You got to perform in that sense, and then just carrying yourself throughout the whole event professionally. If someone asks you to do something, don't throw your toys out the cot. Even if it's not from your company, if they're asking you, it's because you're standing around doing nothing. Just get down and help whoever you can to make life easy for everybody. It becomes complicated in my industry. You got to work over 5 or 10 different event suppliers that come in for big events. And you've really got to keep on your toes. You've got to keep your staff on your toes so that you're not fighting for space within this small environment where there's a bunch of people working, So it's it's just about having patience, getting there on time, punctuality. Anything got to do with any other job. Attention to detail is just the main thing. The rest of the things you can learn as you go along. And I've kind of not want it to grow too big, because then you get bigger overheads. You've got to get more vehicles and all this kind of thing. I've managed to keep it quite manageable with a one-man band kind of thing. Yeah. Not that I do every single event myself. I've got other DJs that I trust, explicitly to go represent Next Dimension Entertainment. But as for myself, I would make sure that I'm on 90% of the events.
You're the face of the company.
Yeah, for setup, not obviously not for breakdown, but for setting up.
Yes.
I'll be there to show my face, and then I'll guide my guys to make sure that they know how to pull the job off properly.
So I know that two of your sort of main attractions, let's call it that, is the one is the you were actually the first guy to bring in the LED moving
LED starlet. Yeah.
And then also the inflatable igloo.
Yeah. So we've actually we've got a couple of cool items that nobody else has really sort of concentrated on. One of them is LED starlit dance floors.
Oh wow. Yeah. I've not seen that yet.
Yeah, that's it's just a twinkle floor. So it's very romantic kind of function dance floor for events and for black tie events and weddings and stuff like that. Then the igloos are something special. Unfortunately, we weren't the first people to own it in South Africa. There was a company before us that kind of got the jump on us and managed to get it in. His name's Alan, and we managed to build up a good relationship with him using the igloos as we go along, because I'm quite passionate about the product itself. And then when COVID happened, he unfortunately he decided to sell the business, and I was lucky enough that one of my best friends and now my business partner had the finances to buy it.
Yes.
So we bought it outright with the trailer. So we now own these two inflatable igloos. One's 12 meter, one of the one's 8 meter. You can use them for different setups, but however, it's nice to have it all in one sort of setup, so that you've got your main floor as a 12 meter igloo. It's 5.5 meters high. Can fit about 160 to 180 guests in there. That's with a 3x2 stage.
Yes.
And then obviously we provide all the tech support for that as well. And then the little igloo's got a little 2 meter tunnel in between, which is quite cool. You can light it up with UV. Nice little break in between the two spaces. And then in the small one, you can have a little welcome station or LED bar, or you can run a full bar system in there. You could probably have 50 people in there at any one time with bar on either side, so that you can service people. It's more of a kind of a winter themed event.
100%.
If we had to do it in summer, it does cost a lot more, because you've got to get climate control in just to make sure that because it gets up to like 45 degrees in there. I remember when we hired it the second or third time we did Rocking the Daisies. We did a
I remember
Olmeca something or other, and I went to strike on the Sunday, and it was like 30 degrees outside, but I promise you walk inside there and it's like a cooking oven. So your shirt's off, you're losing kilo by kilo, just sweating because it's so hot, and it takes a lot of effort to put that thing up and down.
That reminds me of some of those I think there was a rave themed Inferno where they brought like heaters into the club specially to make it hotter in there for no reason.
Sounds like Boiler Room or Pure.
No, it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But dude, so I mean, then your next adventure, and I have to bring this up because I remember it so clearly, and then I remember my sort of mindset shifting. So you've been a massive proponent and representative of medicinal cannabis.
Absolutely.
Right? And I'll never forget, right in the beginning, when you were talking about it and getting into it, and you posted something, and I, tongue in cheek, posted, I was like, I wish that everybody that's talking about medical marijuana wasn't always so stoned while they were telling me about it. But the crazy thing is, and this is not a bandwagon thing, because like I can say that you've really been into it from the beginning. It's not been something that you kind of just saw and, I remember early in the days you were talking when it was still pretty backyard, people using it for cancer and people using it for epilepsy and like a whole bunch of stuff. And it's now taken you to the point where you've pretty much you've gone from just sort of sourcing good products to actually now having an online storefront with a whole bunch of different products that you bring in exclusively, that you develop. Tell us a bit about that journey, man. We're going to go deep on this one.
So yeah, it's like as you were saying, it's been a passion of mine. I have been a smoker, a cannabis user for very, very many years.
Yeah.
And looking in hindsight, I realize why I've been using cannabis, and it's a coping mechanism,
right?
And it's a way better coping mechanism than taking pharmaceuticals, for instance. If I can say that, if you had to hear my life story, you would understand why I use cannabis.
Right.
It's definitely a PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder cure. You know what I mean?
100%.
A daily cure. So like people feel for depression, they pop a Xanax.
Management, basically.
Yeah, they pop a Xanax and they feel capable of doing what they need to do for the day.
Right.
I feel that about cannabis. So, it took me. What actually happened is my best friend died of a brain tumor.
Right, I remember that.
And this was 12 years ago. And, it was the most difficult, heart-aching thing ever, holding your best friend's hand when he passes, you know what I mean? And it was that journey, it was at that time that I started searching for answers to how can you cure cancer? How can you cure brain tumors? How can you do this? And cannabis came up in all the lists that I was searching on Google. Cannabis came up as a potential assistant in curing cancer. Or
because I remember there was a stage, sort of. I'm thinking in the 80s. I remember one of our neighbors had cancer, and someone was actually at that stage, obviously still illegally, organizing a marijuana or stopper because it helped her treat the pain and the nausea. So I mean, it seems like what's the word? Anecdotally, the evidence has always been there.
The evidence has been there pre 1920, because in 1920 is when they kicked out the whole natural medicines pharmacopoeia out of America, and they reintroduced what is today known as Western medicine, and in university you're not allowed to study esoteric medicine.
Okay.
You're not allowed to study natural medicines, homeopathic medicines as a treatment for any ailment.
I see.
Until 1980s, 1960s, insert Dr. Raphael Meshulam from Israel. He isolated the THC molecule and the CBD molecule. Then fast forward to 1980s, they identified that your body's got a CB1 and a CB2 receptor in your brain, in your body, in your spleen, in your liver, in your kidneys, in your lungs, in your heart, in your skin, in your bone structure. So now all of a sudden in the 1980s, they are telling you that you've got what is called a cannabinoid receptor.
Right. which is what you need. Question as to, why is it there?
Yeah, and what do you feed a cannabinoid receptor?
Right.
So, cannabis obviously then in the 80s, carrying on from that, still illegal to do medical trials and studies on it.
Right.
Unfortunately, so Israel was lucky enough that they had the foresight to really jump into it. And I think that's why they're the most intelligent sort of intelligent country on what cannabis can do for things. Okay. Obviously behind America now, in the 80s, I think they did. California was the first a county or state to legalize for personal use under certain aspects, and fast forward to today. Now you can see you can buy CBD in on the shelf at Clicks. Big issue with that anyway.
We're not here to knock brands or anything like that, but so tell me, I know that you did some sort of training. So tell me a little bit about that.
So when COVID hit, when was it? 2019 or 2020? In March, we went into complete lockdown, business shut down, no more income. So I took the initiative, and I had wanted to take the initiative before, but we're still busy with events and stuff like that. So this actually gave me the time to do a medical cannabis course with an American company called Green Flower.
Okay.
You're learning from doctors that have been practicing cannabinoid therapy for 20-25 years in America. They've treated 50,000s of patients, got in the best results ever. And I mean, that's how you get, as much as you can study something anecdotally or pretense in a lab, the best evidence you're ever going to get is from using it on a patient and getting the proper feedback. So I did this course. It's a 3-month long course. It took me 4 months. I got lucky enough that halfway through the course they kind of cut the course off and relaunched it, and we got extended time to kind of finish it. But this course is like aimed at doctors and nurses that haven't had the opportunity to study medicinal cannabis. And before that, I'd learned, 12-year journey of learning about cannabis and trying to enforce this idea enforce this people. It's difficult because people don't actually want to hear it. They don't care about it. It's illegal. It's rubbish. It's dacha. It's bad for you. It kills your brain cells. Bullshit. Sorry.
There's so many myths around it. I mean, don't get me wrong. So I'm very much a proponent of therapeutic use of psilocybin, but in the same vein where yes, it does have all of these benefits, you can't kind of go like, okay, there's no drawbacks, and there needs to be a level of understanding and control. And when I say control, you don't just say yes and go try it. You know what I mean? You get somebody else to advise you and educate you, so on. But so sorry, carry on with your training. So I went through this self-study course, and it took me about 2 months just to learn the biological terms and how to pronounce them properly, because it really is, from doing biology in matric last 25 years ago or 26 years ago to now, all of a sudden I have to retrain my brain how to study in that, and it was quite an enthralling process. But I was so captivated by the evidence and they give you go to their scientific pages where they've done peer reviewed studies, and you go learn about what they can actually do with cannabis. It is absolutely mind blowing, So I went through the process, and I wrote my exam, and I managed to get my 86%, and I passed the thing, and I got a certificate. Unfortunately, it's still not recognized as anything, but to me, but I mean, you want the knowledge.
I got an E in high school. You know what I mean? I wasn't very good at high school, not because I'm not intelligent enough, just because I didn't enjoy school.
Yourself,
I never applied myself, and
because it wasn't something that interested you.
If you told me I could learn about cannabis in matric, I would have done it.
100%.
But so from then, I had then made a couple of connections within the cannabis industry. It was 2018. They did the first Cannabis Fest or Expo, Canna X.
Yes.
And we went to the Expo, and I'd already been dabbling and trying to get things going in that, but it's very difficult. You got big pharma that are obviously going to put their feet into it immediately. You've got other bigger companies that have got
the capital.
The capital and more sort of resources to get out there.
And they're a little bit more profit driven. Which is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong.
I'd already helped a number of people. This one woman had breast cancer. Just from me getting a supply of oil, black tar, and again, you were talking about just giving people stuff and not really knowing. I've learned quite a couple of ways and difficult ways. I once gave somebody CBD, and the dosage of CBD was 600 milligrams, which can interact with other pharmaceuticals. Not only that, a higher dose of CBD can actually make you more anxious instead of making you less anxious. You know what I mean?
Right.
The correct dosages, all these kind of things. There's so many ins and outs. You got to think about it as a doctor.
Right.
A doctor prescribes a medication. It's take one capsule with food for this amount of time, then you can redose
and
this.
It and check out.
So when you're coming to using cannabis, it's I wish it was just as straightforward as taking a dose and you fix things, but it's not. It's very complicated.
So you actually mentioned the Cannabis Expo. So I mean, to give a little backstory on how we even got here, my mind was pretty much changed after I had a surfing accident in 2019. Split my lip. Board hit the sand, face hit the board. I was knocked out. If it wasn't that I was surfing at Long Beach and the water is really cold, I I remember just seeing this bright flash and then standing up and kind of staggering and checking blood coming off my face. Fortunately, I could stand in the water. I got up and there's a guy selling coffee, and I'm like, dude, do you have some ice? Like, my face is really sore. He says, yeah, well, your lip's hanging off. So, I basically split all the way through here.
Yes.
Long story short, ended up with stitches that had gone like 99% of the way through. The doctor could see light through.
Oh, my goodness.
And definitely concussed, 100%, like major concussion. And got stitched up. I had to go straight to a recital of my daughter's piano recital. So I'm all messed up, and I remember the doctor saying, "Look, you're likely concussed, so you might get some headaches later on.
Yeah.
Call me if you do." And I was fine for a few days, and then suddenly these headaches started, and it wasn't like your normal headache, So I tried some over-the-counter stuff, and that did nothing. And I'm talking codeine, I'm talking ibuprofen, I'm talking those together. Then went back to the doctor, and he prescribed Tramacet, which is tramadol, codeine, and paracetamol, and none of that worked. Now, I had my appendix out a few years back, and they give you tramadol as post-op pain management, and none of that helped. Nothing. I had a headache for about 2 weeks, and I think that's when I reached out to you, and I was like, "Hey man, listen, I'm in pain here. I know that you do the CBD stuff. I've read up about it. Apparently, it's quite good for inflammation and stuff like that. Do you have anything for me?" You're like, "Yeah, cool, come through. I've got. I think I got some for my mom because she had some marks on her face before."
Yeah.
And then you were like, "No, but I'll give you the CBD. You got to use those drops directly on the wound. That'll help with the pain there. But if it's like these headaches, try this like THC vape pen." And I'm like, "Listen, dude, like I don't smoke, He's like, "That's fine, don't worry. Just like take a tiny hit of this, and then let me know if it works for you. Let me know." And I'll never forget. I took a hit of the pen. And by the time I drove out of the parking lot at Grand West, I was like, my headache's gone. And I was like, nah, man, it
Impossible.
Can't be. There's no way. There's no way. Because it was, by that time, like I said, I had a headache for about 2 weeks. And I'm talking about, like, I want to lie down headache.
Mind melting,
Yeah, so it's actually called post-concussion syndrome, where you get this, like, basically inflammation in your brain.
Yeah.
And that seemed to help. I think you then said come back after the expo, and I got a pen from you, and it was literally like a microdose. So it's not even. I'm not even getting stoned.
You will slightly feel it.
I made the mistake of hitting it a little bit hard once or twice, but that it was completely for pain management. 100%. What I liked about the vape. As much as people will say, vapes there's issues that come with vapes, it's very, like, metered, it's measured. You know that, like, 1 second draw is so much, and I it was really, I could feel, oh, that's a higher dose, that's a lower dose type of thing. And I think, so that was a sativa pen, as far as I remember.
Dose management is the most important thing. And then just quickly on just to touch on that quickly, Vaping any THC or CBD product is the best way to get it into your system.
Right.
It's the fastest onset. You're going straight into your lungs, which goes straight through your blood system. And if you know, when you pull that pen too hard and you have a little cough, the blood, when you cough, your blood circulates a lot faster through your brain, through your body, and you can actually feel it going through your arms.
Yeah, it's like when you hit the cough, you go, "Oh no, that was too much." As someone who's not like not smoking weed all the time. And then I think from there I've gotten a few from you. So I've gotten a pen that was pure CBD, more for anxiety. Then I've also got one that was for sleep management because I struggle with sleep. And I've gone if I think back to that, oh yeah, I wish guys weren't so stoned when they were telling me about this, to like how I think about it now. My dog is on CBD.
Absolutely. I'll show you. I just shared a post this morning about a woman in Azefontein. I don't know what happened to the dog, but it's got severe blisters on its face. It's got an infection between its toes. The dog is not in good health. And it's been on medication. It's not helping. So the woman dosed the dog up with CBD, rubbed the CBD on its face. Within 2 days, all the blisters are gone. Within 1 day, 1.5 days, the infection between the feet are gone.
Jeez.
It's like it works. You know what I mean?
It does work.
Your body's got the system called the endocannabinoid system, and it needs to be fed cannabinoids to stay functional. And a lot of people will say to you, yeah, but CBD doesn't work for me. And I'll tell you why it doesn't work for them. Because their body has been dormant for so long that it might take... They might have stopped a day before it actually activates. You don't actually know. Everybody's different. Everybody accepts CBD and THC in completely different ways. And it's all about how you've fed your body before that time. Yeah. If you've never had CBD or THC before, it might take 6 weeks to work properly. Right. But you have to push through that time where you don't think it's working to get to that point. And I've done a lot of research, and I've read this book by Dr. Danny Gordon. She's a cannabis clinician in the UK. She's also one of the directors of the Cannabis Clinician Society of the UK, alongside a doctor from South Africa, who's like the most phenomenal doctor, Dr. Shiksha Gallo.
Okay.
She's also part of the Cannabis Clinician Society of the UK and the USA. She's a director on both, and she's actually one of the doctors that's she's doing the first clinical trial in South Africa, registered clinical trial, RTC, randomized controlled placebo test. For pain medication, swapping opiates out for cannabinoid therapy. But anyway, in Dr. Danny Gordon's book, every single chapter she goes through, it's vape CBD, vape THC. It's the fastest onset to get it into your body, and it really, really works. And your endocannabinoid system is there for a purpose. God made cannabis, and He made humans, and He made endocannabinoid system.
Yeah, 100%, man. So, I mean, you touched on an interesting thing. If there's one thing that I picked up with alternative medicine is, if there's one thing that the pharmaceutical companies got right, and I use that word very loosely, right, is that they've figured out a way or should I say, they've figured out sort of delivery mechanisms very well. So it's like if you have a headache and you take a painkiller, you know that within 20 minutes or so, the pain's going away. If you suffer from anxiety and you take alprazolam or Xanax, you know that in 20 minutes' time, you're going to feel different, right? The problem is that, and this is coming from someone who, like I say, was very skeptical of alternative medicine, is that none of these fast-acting, quick delivery products is without side effects.
Consequence.
And a lot of those side effects are, on the one hand, if it's not dependence forming, which is a big problem, it's affecting other organ systems, like your kidneys and your liver and your whatever, or your stomach. Like, I had stomach ulcers. I had, and I was trusting Western medicine, and none of it was doing what it was meant to do, other than making you dependent on pills.
So the thing is that, doctors don't get rich by healing you and you're not coming back, and this is the problem with Western medicine. And the whole sort of organization of how it works. They don't want something that's going to cure you.
Right.
They need you to come back, otherwise it puts them out of business.
Yes.
And it's a horrible thing to say, but it's the truth. What I do want to say though is one thing they can do is break the cycle. They'll keep, instead of something's only going to work for you for so long before it stops working.
Right.
And what I do see is when it stops working, they just switch on to something else.
Something else. Yeah.
Instead of going, well, let's do it for a month and we take 5 days break.
Right.
Then we go back on it, so it gives your body a chance to reset, not have to produce what's the word? Recycle all this material going into your body. You say, these fast-acting delivery systems. Your body needs to calm itself stop it from having to process all the stuff.
Right.
Reset, and then you can start the process again. I think maybe if more doctors tried that, they would get better results from the pharmaceuticals. Now, I'm not a pharmaceutical specialist at all. I don't. Sure. I wouldn't know, because the only thing I take is a Disprin or Grandpa for a headache or for a hangover. Yeah. I don't take any other Western medicine whatsoever. I live on CBD oil, and I live on THC, and I do a bunch of other natural things.
So this is actually what I was actually getting at, is that it seems that with alternative medicine, especially plant medicines, right, naturally occurring substances. So not necessarily just plant medicine, but let's say, like hormonal precursors or whatever. You need to give it time to work.
Absolutely.
You can't compare it to something that's designed to work
straight
now
to that neuron
versus actually like loading your body with it and seeing how your body reacts to it. Does
Absolutely.
It work? Doesn't it work? Is it the right dose? And you almost need to slow down and stop expecting this instant gratification, even though in the case of my lip, as soon as I put a drop of CBD oil on that wound, the spot pain was gone.
Hectic.
You know what I mean? So it does have fast acting in certain instances, but
Absolutely.
Again, you need to know your body, and like you need to be very intentional about what is it I'm feeling or experiencing.
I think also you need to be informed, mostly informed. And we mentioned that these products are available in clicks, for instance.
Yes.
Now there's nobody at the counter where they're selling the CBD to say, listen, why do you want to use CBD?
Yes.
I've got anxiety. Okay, well, 600 milligrams of CBD is not going to work for anxiety, because CBD works better in lower doses for anxiety than it does in higher doses. Right. And in fact, they did a randomized control test with a placebo thing. And the guys that had 900 milligrams of CBD, they had 150 milligrams of CBD and a placebo CBD, no CBD whatsoever. The people that had 900 milligrams of CBD, they did a public speaking exercise to see how people would react in that kind of thing. With it was like 400 people or something. The people who resulted the best was the 150 milligram CBD. The people who were second best was the placebo, that they thought they had something and they didn't. And the 900 milligram people actually they struggled the most, because they got more and more anxious the further they went into it. So they proved now scientifically and with these studies that CBD works at a better as a lower dose. Now for muscular pain, for instance, something that's I go rock climbing, and after a good workout, my body is you would know, you've done it before. It's your body, you've got everywhere is sore. Now I take more than what your legal amount is, because I can dose myself. I'm not a child, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'll take 4 full droppers like this. The next day I can get out of bed and it feels like I've had a light workout. My muscles are de-inflamed. Even if I work, if I do most nights that I do, I'm out from like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I get home at 2 o'clock in the morning and go to sleep at 3. Your body's tired, your legs are sore, you've been standing all day, you've been walking around, your body's buggered. Massive dose of CBD. The next morning I get up and I can actually move around. Yeah. It's not going to work the same for anxiety. And this is the tricky one, because then how do you treat anxiety and something pain. Else? You know what I mean? So,
which I guess is the same with Western medicine, where they're like, don't take this medication or that medication. You put these two together, you're going to have this. So you got to be responsible. I mean, look, I think that's also part of Western culture, is that we don't want to sickle, we don't want to have pain, we don't want to struggle. There's so with you giving me the vape juice for anxiety, I also realized, I can't just suck on this pen the whole time, because it's going to make it worse. And you got to get to the point where you're not using it almost as a crutch.
Absolutely.
But you're at the same time managing your symptoms well. So tell us what products you have, man.
So,
well, before we go products, I know these aren't yours, but cheers. You can choose. You can go either. There's a peach and a berry.
I'll go the berry.
Cool. This actually, cheers, man. This actually brings me to another question that you can talk about while you talk about your products. Is I know that there are all these, what do they call it? when they give you the sort of chemical breakdown of what's in the product and whatever? Because there's so much out there.
How COA, certificate of analysis.
That's it, the analysis. How do you know, or how will people out there know what is good product?
Okay, so basically, if you're going to go into a Clicks, for instance, you can go buy something off the shelf. Every one of those companies are regarded to, they have to have a COA,
right?
Certificate of analysis. That certificate analysis, there's multiple certificates. You get a CBD and a THC content. You get a terpene content, terpene profile content, and then you get a heavy metals a profile content. So unfortunately, when you're growing cannabis and that you're feeding it water, you're feeding it nutrients and stuff like that, the roots draw up metals from the ground. Sure. It depends what soil you're growing in. If you're growing in a highly richly metal kind of soil, that stuff pulls into the thing, and it could be toxic for you. So they have to be, there are certain stringent rules. You have to pass toxicity levels for when you're
human consumption,
for when you're growing and stuff like that. So all these kind of things. So we did the COA on analysis on a product that we imported. Our supplier imported it for us, and then we added our own terpenes to the profile. So it's a CBD THC distillate with added terpenes, so that we can get closer blends to what you need. Terpenes are incredible, essential byproducts of cannabis and in nature completely. All flowers and that. Citrus has got lemon and lime has got something called D-limonene. D-limonene is one of the anti-anxiety meds that helps massively. Like the CBD works. It could be a sense of linalool, which is from lavender. Lavender plants is known to give you
relax.
To make you relax and not stress out. So those types of things you got to really look and try and understand cannabis a bit better and go do a little bit of research before you buy a product. Go see what's in it. Go visit the website, the manufacturer's website. Go find their certificate of analysis. If they don't have one, don't buy the product. You know what I mean? You want to know for certain that that what you're buying is what's in the bottle. And a funny study that I saw about 2 years ago, that in the UK they bought 10 different bottles of CBD, and they tested them all privately. And one bottle of CBD didn't have any CBD in it at all. 5 bottles had, over, if it said 600 milligrams, it was 1,000 milligrams of CBD. Wow. If others were like difference. 500, it was 250 milligrams of CBD. So, guys are chancing their arm. The market's opened up. There's a lot of black market products out there, a lot of chances, and they want to get their product sold. So they're willing to do anything to get their product out to market. The main thing is that for my own consciousness and good conscience, I need to know what's in my product. So we did a test, and I was actually blown away on how accurate the tests were.
Wow. That's great.
We were actually 610 milligrams. We've got the absolute max legal limit of THC on our products, which makes it then a broad spectrum to full spectrum product.
Which is apparently what you want.
So full extract. So if you're buying black market oil, because you can't buy THC legally anywhere. So if you're buying black market oil, people refer to it as FECO, full extract cannabis oil. That will mean every single compound that's in the plant: CBG, CBD, CBA, CBN, THC, delta 9 THC. Well, delta 9 THC only comes from decarboxylation, but or the precursors, THCA, which is tetrahydrocannabinolic acid. It's the precursor to before it's been decarboxylated. And then all the terpenes, when you've got that as a fully functional medicine, you're getting every single bit of the medicine out of the plant and you're putting it into your body. Your body has got so many receptors, it takes all of it and it pushes to everywhere in your whole body, and it starts fixing the little ailments everywhere. And basically what it does, if you think about what do you call those things that hang above a baby's cot?
Like a mobile.
Mobile. So your body's like a mobile. Your body goes out of whack. What happens? It gets inflamed on this side. It starts going like this. Then it gets a bit worse and it goes a little bit more out of whack. Then you take something for that, but unfortunately this medicine doesn't work so like, and it causes an issue over here. Then it starts. Your whole body starts decentralizing and going out of whack.
Out of balance.
Out of balance. And you then need to recorrect all the issues. And this is another thing. That's why I said CBD could take 6 weeks before you finally feel the real results of what happens.
Right.
It starts by balancing every single little element in your body. You know what I mean? And it takes time to get to that point. And once it's there, you feel the real effects every single day. You can feel how your body, how you got much energy. You don't notice sore anymore. You know, all these kind of things. Your hair and nails start working properly, or you know, all these things kind of fall into place. You know.
So I mean, I know I keep coming back to my story. Excuse me. But so since you giving me the first bottle, I was, for one, right, a crazy caffeine addict, right? I managed to at one stage. Look, I'm drinking caffeine again because my wife bought a coffee machine. So
who wouldn't?
I like push a button and this coffee, but not to the level that I was before. But I went off coffee. I went off alcohol. I'd been taking because in 2013 I got really, really bad bleeding ulcers. And they put me onto proton pump inhibitors, you know, your Nexium or your Lancelot or whatever. I've been taking it since 2013. You're not supposed to take it longer than 5 years.
Hectic.
Right. I was taking it from 2013. I stopped taking that probably a month after going on to this. And I can't help but wonder. Because then I was like, you know what, I'm going all in on, because I started noticing just how much this was working. And then I started going like, okay, well, instead of drinking alcohol, I'm going to grab these Good Leaves, for example, or any CBD drink. And then instead of eating just your normal, because I love gummies, any gummies, I go mad for them. And there's one company where we get our water from that does CBD gummies. And I think my body just responded so well to it.
It will.
That I started going like, hey man, maybe I should try. Let me see if I can get off this. Let me see. And I could. I mean, I feel when I messaged you how I sounded. And
please bring me the juice.
and like, you know, what's it now? So let's call it September, maybe August. I think it was around about September.
Yeah.
So October, November, December.
And then you ran out.
And I ran out. And now we're into January almost. So let's say call it 4 months, because I still supplemented with the drinks and the stuff or whatever to at least keep it in my system. But there's definitely a better sort of, from a wellness point of view, that I've noticed that almost made me able to go, okay, cool, now let me look at... Because I still struggle with sleep, funnily enough, but also because I didn't have a THC vape.
I've got something for you.
and you know, so but not to the point where it's like, oh, now it's like wrecking me. So it definitely seems that long term, using it as a supplement almost is where you want to get to.
Absolutely. It will benefit you. Like I said, the longer you're on it, the more it will benefit you. And just to give you a little example, Jackson, my son, suffered immensely from almost eczema, but psoriasis. And it was brought on by 2-minute noodles and gluten.
Oh, wow.
And, he doesn't eat anything else but 2-minute noodles.
Kids.
KFC pops, so he's very limited to what he wants to eat. You know what I mean? He's the most difficult child ever.
Don't worry, my daughter only eats chicken nuggets and cucumber.
So struggle. Anyway, so, I started him off on CBD gummies. Within a month, the scars from scratching are gone. He's completely gone. And now he can eat 2-minute noodles to his heart content and it doesn't come back. So, it's like I said, what it does is repairs slight issues in your body that other medicine, this is the other thing. Western medicine is not, they treat symptoms. They don't treat ailments.
I remember I had a dog, a Labrador, a few years back, and he suffered hectically from allergies. Like he'd get allergic to anything, food. He'd swim in someone's pool that's got chlorine. He'd lie on a carpet and he'd get an allergic reaction. And excuse me. that's one of the reasons I like these. They're so sparkly. they're so
tastes great.
They're good. When I spoke to the vet, what he was saying is, look, with allergies, and this is a vet explaining it to me. I wish that my doctor had explained to me, because I suffer hectically from allergies, right? And he's like, you got to think of allergies as like a pyramid, right? So you are likely, or Nixon, the dog's likely, is there's a lot of, if he's allergic to something, chances are he's going to be allergic to a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Because it's inflammation in the body, and every time he takes something he's allergic to, it fills up a bit of that of the pyramid.
For sure.
So like, let's say, okay, he's lying on the grass.
Yeah.
Now he eats something. Now he swims in the pool, but it's when he swims in the pool that he has an outbreak.
Yeah.
So now you go, okay, cool, I'm not going to let him swim in the pool. But then he's fine.
And
then he goes somewhere else, and then suddenly gets an outbreak. And it's actually the only way. You're going to have to be careful with where you lie. I have to change like a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
Or fast forward to myself, this juice definitely affected my my allergies. I remember texting you, probably go back in your history and you see like, hey man, I like my allergies seem to have gone away. and how I knew that there was a link, because when I was smoking weed, I never had allergies. I never had allergies. My allergies only came out after I stopped smoking weed.
Hectic.
Like my whole teenage life to my mid-20s, no allergies. Suddenly 26, boom, allergies.
That's crazy, eh?
And so I'm interested to see, now that we've adopted this new dog, and because I kept saying, like, every time I put the vape through my nasal passage, it seems to
it will line. You got CBD receptors in your nose.
Feel better.
Yeah.
So now that we got this new dog, and my allergies are ridiculous, because ironically I love dogs, I'm allergic to dogs. So I'll see, and I'll let you know how it goes, if it makes a difference. But yeah,
please do
tell us a bit more about your products, man.
So yeah, man, we, like I said, we with my local supplier, we've developed, you know, and you know, it's called the entourage effect. And entourage effect is a term claimed by a doctor named Dr. Ethan Rousseau, he's like the most intelligent cannabis brain on the planet. They found out that the entourage effect happens when you are feeding your endocannabinoid system that FECO, full extract cannabis oil, where you've got every single cannabinoid from the full extract, including the terpenes. When it hits your body, it goes all over your brain. There's one terpene called beta caryophyllene. It's very prominent in black pepper, cloves, and that kind of thing. It's the only terpene that actually settles on your CB1 and CB2 receptors. The rest of the terpenes go to other receptors in your body. You know, your stress receptors, your GABA receptors, and those kind of things that relax you and do what they're supposed to. D-limonene that works on your serotonin, for instance. So I decided, you know, there's no product called entourage effect. I'm going to call it that, you know, because it's a term coined by this doctor, and it's a phrase, not a product name. So I thought, what better thing to call it than entourage effect? Anyway, so we called it that, and it's got a blend of really, really good terpenes that will allow you to have, and this one specifically is sports active. So it's designed to get the inflammation away from when you're doing high activities and sports. I might actually get some of that
for my dog. I'm worried that, because he's a German Shepherd, and apparently that, like, they can have problems with their hips.
Yeah, again, like, you know, don't work him too hard. Let him run, but not too hard, and use a lower dose. You got to find a lower. You got to start low, go slow. That's another thing that's termed worldwide with any cannabis therapy. Go start low, go slow. You know, more than likely you'll only need to have a small dose to get to the dose that you actually need to heal your body. You know what I mean? And then they had designed, our supplier had already designed a bunch of natural botanical wellness supplements. And we decided to take out of a couple of ingredients and put in a couple of ingredients which we thought, you know, through the studies that I've done, would benefit people a little bit more, you know. So we did an immune support, which has got, you know, echinacea. You know, echinacea is a massive anti-flu viral kind of thing. Turkey tail mushrooms, which is you know, again, psilocybin and mushrooms. It's a whole different conversation, but it's the same conversation realistically. I'm also a big microdoser. And I believe in the power of mushrooms healing your body. You know, they have the ability to do all sorts of things, including realign your neurons in your brain where your receptors are broken down and they're not recepting properly. You know, one of the things I learned from my best friend dying of brain cancer is that when your receptors break down, they start accepting any kind of amino acid. And all of a sudden they've got all these different types of amino acid going to one receptor, and it's not able to then produce it or reproduce it into what is then another enzyme that flows through your body and goes out your liver.
Sure.
So, you know, anyway, so turkey tail mushrooms in there, it's really amazing. Olive oil and olive leaf is one of the best medicinal carrier. It's like a medicinal carrier. It gets through your body, it gets through your system a lot better. It helps your body absorb the product a lot better, and that's why they use olive oil in CBD. It's an excellent carrier through your body. You know, vitamin D. So this you take in essence of having COVID, long COVID. You use this as your daily supplements. Got vitamin D, zinc, vitamin E acetate, vitamin C, you know, olive leaf, turkey tail mushrooms, and echinacea. So all the things that you would need for a long COVID, you know, as a daily supplement. Which, you know, there's a ton of them out there now. Very well priced in that. So unfortunately, you know, their pricing is a little bit better. The product is a little bit sort of more high milligram than other products that are available. You know, they've got the pharmaceutical companies have got big budgets to be able to put that together.
Yeah, but I mean, look, again, not knocking anything, and you'd have to go through it with everything. But you also find that on scale, oftentimes that's when the fillers start coming in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yes, it's cheaper to order on scale, but are you still getting the same high quality,
for sure,
like ingredients
as a smaller company trying to make a really good product?
Exactly. And 100%. I mean look, from that point of view, I'm much more, and don't get me wrong, like rands and cents matter, but the only way we're going to change SA is if we support small business,
for sure.
So
100%. Then we do a nootropic, which is like a mind-enhancing substance, you know, like the smart pill that they call it.
Yeah.
This is all obviously natural products again. You know, I could list these things, but they're not really going to make sense to anybody.
Sure.
But basically, it's got energy stuff like ginkgo biloba, L-theanine, which helps for sleep and calm. A bunch of things in here. Lion's mane mushrooms, which just helps massive for depression and for your brain and for your neurons and stuff like that. Anyway, and then we do sleep capsules as well, which is this one's really cool because it's got all your top 5 natural botanicals that help align your body to get the relaxation that it needs for you to fall asleep into a deeper kind of sleep, and then you can sleep through the night. And those things are valerian root, passion flower, lemon balm, chamomile, L-theanine, magnesium citrate, and scaletium. You know, Bushman's ecstasy. And hops. You know, beer. It's got hops in it. You know, beer makes you tired.
That would definitely make you sleep.
So that's a little gift for you.
Oh, thanks, man.
Try that out. I think you know, the most important thing out of all these things, you know, you can take whatever medicine. You really don't want to have to take medicine to treat ailments.
Yes.
What you need to do is look after your body before it gets to that point. And the most important thing you can do, and this is advice from Adrian Gemini, not as a doctor, but as someone who's studied cannabis as such and learned a million other things in the process of going through this journey. And that's look after your gut. Your gut is your second brain. If not your first brain. An unhealthy gut will lead you to have depression without you even knowing it. An unhealthy gut will lead you to have anxiety. An unhealthy gut will lead you to a multitude of diseases and ailments that happen. You look after your gut, and your gut will look after your brain, and your brain will be able to then look after your whole body. That is the best advice I can give you. Be on a good probiotic. Stop eating rich rubbish foods and stuff like that, you know, junk food and that kind of crap that you want to put into your body. It's full of toxic shit that you don't need. Sugars and this and that. And, you know, I'm not a nutritionist, but you know, like I understand. I feed my body I do juicing every 3 months. I go through a phase of I do juicing for a month, and I'll replenish my body by putting the right nutrients into your body. Taking a good probiotic, which actually really got a really good probiotic as well.
Oh, that's cool.
And through that, just looking after your body in the sense of looking after your gut, you are going to be 100 times happier than you can be before the time,
And I wonder if that, me getting to the, and don't get me wrong, I was for 6 years going like, I got to get off this like stomach stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been off it now since September-ish, October-ish. Hey, maybe that's part of why I feel the way that I feel
because
now.
People don't understand. Well, you would kind of get this now, but as soon as you go on an antibiotic, the first thing they give you is a probiotic to take alongside it, because antibiotics doesn't kill the bad bacteria; it kills all bacteria in your system. Everything. Your body is 98% bacteria. It's crazy. I don't know if you've watched Fantastic Fungi.
Yeah.
But your body is this massive amounts of bacteria. You constantly we're transferring bacteria from and to each other. You know what I mean? It's your body's so finely tuned machine. You have to be in tune with your body to keep it healthy, and just keeping it on that sort of sense is the only way. And you can see why America has got an opiate and a pharmaceutical crisis. Because they eat rubbish and then they get pharmaceuticals to sort it out. It does not work. It's a broken concept.
Yeah.
So and you can see the people who are healthy, they go running. They take supplements, natural supplements, mushroom supplements. They use all these kind of natural things to rebalance your body. We come from nature. What makes you think that something in a lab is going to be good for you? You know what I mean? 100%. Not that it's not, but
no, I hear you.
There's certain medicines that are life changing and life saving.
Yeah.
But you don't want to have to get to that point to be able to. So you can look after yourself in a much better way if you be in tune with your body, even from a young age. If you can just, if I knew what I knew now, you know what I mean? 20 years ago, life changing again.
So is this coffee?
This is the best coffee in the world, my man.
Oh, I'm gonna have to order some of that.
It's mushroom coffee.
Okay.
So it's got Ganoderma lucidum, which is reishi mushrooms.
Yes. Okay.
Reishi mushrooms are one of the best antioxidants. It carries heavy metals and bad shit out of your body through your blood, and you pass it through your body. It's got a multitude of wellness benefits, and then it comes with your favorite drink, coffee.
Yeah, man.
So this is one of the products we have. My sister, I've been using it for a while. I haven't got the benefits of using it because I don't use it all the time. It's quite pricey, but my sister's been using this for 4 months now, and she's doing it alongside intermittent fasting. Now, obviously, intermittent fasting works, but you have to be so dedicated, and you can't go to the fridge and pick whatever. But she's lost 18 kilograms in 4 months with having the coffee as a supplement to help her not get hungry and not want to nitpick throughout the daytime. So I actually can't believe I signed on for the program. It's a multi-level media marketing company.
Right.
They've got a bunch of other products, but this is their premium brand, Organo, and it's you can see the testimonials. I've got testimonials. My whole Facebook my WhatsApp chat from them is just testimonials, like thousands and thousands and thousands worldwide. The product works. It's expensive. It works and it tastes amazing.
I'm gonna have to get some of that from you. But we'll talk about that.
I think we must have a mushroom chat next time.
Dude, so I'm to the point where I'm like, listen, I'm gonna have to start growing the medicinal stuff. Just because again, it is pricey. You might as well. You can either spend money on the supplements or you can spend time building so that you can actually self-sustainability. Exactly. And so I take a daily mushroom complex. I won't talk about the brand or anything, but it's got lion's mane, it's got turkey tail, it's got reishi, it's got cordyceps, and then there's something else. There's 5 of them in it. I take that every day, and then I microdose psilocybin as well. So I've had like amazing.
That's partly why your allergies have gone as well.
Yeah. So. And I noticed when I don't take the mushroom complex. That's the one thing. I take a bunch of other supplements as well, but when I don't take the mushroom complex for a while, so if I run out and I don't get it in time, I start going like, oh, wait a minute, I can feel and again, maybe it's a cumulative effect of the CBD and the mushrooms and whatever, but yeah, I would say people must look into
I think it's a good thing that you take a break, though, because, again,
yes,
just giving your body a chance to just relax and not have to recept anything, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, so I kind of cycle on and off stuff. I try to. But like I say, once I get to that point where I go, wait a minute, I'm noticing something feels out of whack, then I'll look at it again. And then what's on the far side?
This little unit, this is... So if you're going to smoke cannabis, if you want to inhale cannabis
right. I saw this on your site, and I've actually heard people talking about it.
If you want to use cannabis as a medicinal thing, and the whole thing is that you can grow cannabis legally in your own home. You can grow up to 1.2 kilograms of weed, which is a shit ton of weed. Let me just tell you, it's a lot of weed. You can get through a whole year of smoking every day, realistically, like not like a stoner, like a medicinal vibe. This is why they've legalized it to that sort of capability.
Right.
The best way to get cannabis into your system is by vaporizing. That's why you vaporize CBD oil. That's why you vaporize cannabis. This little unit is the coolest little toy. You can set it to different temperatures, so you can get out just THC, you can get out just CBD, you can get out just the terpenes. Some terpenes burn at higher, melt off at higher levels.
Yeah.
So you can set the temperature on this thing, which is like phenomenal.
Okay.
So it gives you the ability to use your cannabis in a different way.
Right.
It's a medical inhaler, basically.
Yes, 100%.
You put your cannabis in the bottom there.
Okay.
It's got a little pouch in the bottom, a little bowl inside the bottom there. It's all ceramic, sort of feels the heat. It's like a convection oven, basically, and you can just set it to the right temperature. It doesn't get you high like you would smoke a joint or a bong, which is actually really, really good. So I use this when I work, actually.
Right. Okay.
instead of like, smoking a joint before I start my gig, whatever, and you're like, oh, but paranoid. Or, I don't care who you are. If you smoke the right weed, you will get paranoid if it's too strong. You know what I mean? So I don't like that feeling, and then for that purpose, then I vaporize.
Right.
Then I know that it's not just me smoking weed for X, Y, and Z. It's actually helping me medicinally to get it through my body, to get to the receptors, and it's actually helping me that my body doesn't get sore the whole night. You know what I mean? It's a pain reliever. It's an anti-inflammatory. So we also sell these little tools. It's called a Da Vinci Micro.
And is that like a little pod so you can keep
it's
some plant matter?
Yeah, it's got a little plant matter. So it's a herb vaporizer. You can actually vaporize other herbs in it as well. It's a herbal vaporizer. So you can do lavender in there. You can do all sorts of cool things. So you got a little stash pouch there, and
that's
then
cool.
And then it's got a little backup battery.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah, so if you run out of battery power, obviously, because it doesn't last very long, unfortunately.
It's creating
it's an oven, So, and then it just comes a little pouch, a little cool pouch with Da Vinci on there. A little glove for it. So it's just a cool little medicinal cannabis toy or tool, and I absolutely love it. So we sell these as well. We're actually selling them at cost at the moment because we've got overstocked.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
And they're obviously all available on your website, and I'll put all of that in the links underneath.
It's the Cannsseur Cafe.
The Cannsseur Cafe. That is the best name ever, man.
I thought so.
It's a great name.
So we would never sell, any like I said to you about COAs and stuff like that. We would never subconsciously sell a substandard product.
So I actually saw that. I know you've cycled through quite a few products where you go like, actually now I've got this is better because of this or that, and and do you know, and I don't know if this is something from a legal point of view, I know that there's so much going on in the background. I know that they've actually started the first psilocybin clinical trial in South Africa, so that's a good thing. But I mean, obviously THC still can't sell, still can't technically buy.
Yeah.
Do you know if that's on the cards? Do you know if what's happening from a legal point of view?
Just quickly, I mentioned Dr. Gallo earlier, Dr. Shiksha Gallo. She works out of East London.
Right.
So she was granted South Africa's first clinical trial license to do a proper clinical trial, but she runs a practice called Holistic Healing.
Okay.
And you as a patient can apply for a Section 21A thing from SAPRA, South Africa's medical board, the worst medical board ever, but anyway. That gives Dr. Gallo the ability to then prescribe you medicinal grade cannabis in its entirety, CBD, THC, all the, and she can she then gives you a protocol,
right?
Because they've got, they're working with international doctors that have been doing this for years. They know what works for certain things, and again, like I said to you, it doesn't just work for everybody. You have to start low, go slow, work your way until you find the magic happening. That's your magic dose. Use that dose for 3 months, take a break, restart again, and carry on. Dr. Gallo has the ability to then prescribe and get you your product legally. There are a couple of others. There are a couple of licensed doctors.
So it's in the cards.
It is. Unfortunately, like with something that's so big, governments are unfortunately, our government is corrupt. They are getting their fingers in every single pie before they open it to the public. That's what they're busy doing. They are arguing. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. South Africa will become the second or third biggest supplier of cannabis in the world.
I mean, we got the perfect climate.
Absolutely, and there's no doubt that if they just open industry up, it's not, what did Jack Harris say? It's not whether bamboo or hemp can save the planet. It's if the human race will allow it to.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. Hemp, for instance, a plant that's got no medicinal application, is still illegal to grow in this country. It's got 50,000 uses, including making bio oil or fuel. Henry Ford in 1926 made the first Model T car that ran off hemp, and the car was made out of half hemp. You know what I mean? It was only the internal structure of the car that was metal. The rest was all made out of hemp fiber, and it ran on hemp oil. There's a plane, there's a Canadian guy who made a plane out of hemp, and it runs on hemp oil.
Jeez,
all these kind of things. Like, it makes clothes. It can feed you. It can do all these kind of things. It can heal you. That's why it's illegal. Why would you have something that can be freely grown and people make millions of it? Why would they make it legal? It's quite simple. That's the question you got to ask yourself, and that's the question I'm going to leave you with. If anybody is watching this, figure it out, man. It's really not that difficult. It's going to collapse the whole medical industry. It's going to collapse the whole oil industry. It's going to collapse the whole paper industry.
Sure.
These are your 3 biggest industries that have come leaps and bounds through the world, and it's the one thing that stands in the way of legalizing hemp and cannabis.
Dude, so that's the perfect note to end off on. Bro, thank you so much for coming through. Thank you so much for the gift.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure.
Entourage Cafe. No. Entourage Effect is the product, and it's Cannsseur Cafe.
Yeah, and this is Revive.
This is the Revive series. Yeah. They've got a whole bunch of stuff. They've got vape juices. They've got CBD oils, different types. I've checked it out. So they've got all different types, different strengths, a range of other stuff. They've got the vaporizers. Check them out.
We're a wellness company. We want to heal people. We don't want to make money. We don't want to. I don't want to get rich off healing people. I want to heal people. That's my goal in life. If I can't be a doctor, I want to be a healer.
Totally, dude. And like I say, I appreciate your passion. That's why I've been hounding you for this for like a year and a half. I really want to see you succeed, man. And I wish you all the best for that. And we will touch base soon. I'll keep you updated on
please. I think maybe give it a month, and maybe I'll come back and we do another little chat, and you can give me.
We can go. We'll maybe do mushrooms then. If you can, you said you might have someone you can bring with you. Maybe
100%.
And but dude, thank you so much. If there's anything else you want to add,
no. That's it.
You're good to
go.
Happy
days, Cool,
man.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, bro. It was absolute pleasure. Cool, guys. Catch you in the next one.
Like,
dude, that was amazing.